Hello and welcome to another episode of Between the Sheets with me, James Max. And today I am joined by Hannah Hope, assistant showbiz editor of The Sun, and also columnist and broadcaster Dawn Neesom. Welcome to you both. Thank you very much indeed. And it's like manna from heaven. The outsides of the papers, the insides of the papers, oh, they're filled with it. Piers Morgan, you couldn't wish for a better showbiz and thing to discuss, could you? I mean, look, this is all over the papers. Does the fact that Ofcom have found in favour of the show that Piers was on, and although they got some criticism, he's kind of saying it's me and I'm off the hook. Is it front page news?
Absolutely, it was the showbiz royal storm of the century, or of the year at least. Obviously, it relates back to the Meghan and Harry interview, and it's victory not just for Piers, but for freedom of speech. It means that we're allowed to have an opinion.
If you were in charge at ITV, they've said he's not coming back. Is it because he doesn't want it, or is it because they don't want him?
I think that they are scared about how they look, basically. And Piers is still at ITV with his live stories, of course. So GMB specifically, I think Kevin Lygo, who is the controller, would love him back. But I think some people at ITV are worried about obviously Meghan Markle and what she might think.
Well, I think we're all worried about Meghan Markle and what she might think.
Constantly worried about Meghan Markle. But she was the one, I mean, this is about freedom of speech, and this is the fact that Ofcom received so many complaints about Piers disbelieving Princess Pinocchio's lies, because let's face it, every time she opens her mouth, it's probably a lie. And, you know, he stormed off, supposedly, and then Meghan, was one of the people that complained to his boss and wanted to get him the sack. And Caroline McCall, who is the big boss, actually did what Meghan wanted. Well,
Dame Caroline McCall, it's interesting that she's been sort of hauled into the thing that, you know, there she was from EasyJet, and then suddenly she comes in, she's managing ITV. Look, I kind of feel sorry for her because she's been sort of brought into a storm that the talents, and what would you do? That if, for example,
she should have had a proper inquiry. She shouldn't have bowed down to the demands of two overprivileged, up their own backside idiots who live in a multi-million-pound mansion in California and who want everything their own way, despite letting lie after lie after lie.
Now, I want to talk about these lies because the Sun newspaper, you set out, not necessarily you, but one, you know, the dodgiest claims. Are you pitching them as lies, or are they just dodgy claims that no one could prove?
Well, some of them have been proven as lies, and some of them are very questionable. And to put those out there on an international scale is interesting and potentially quite wrong. And I think that,
which are your favourites out of the untruths? Which are your favourites?
Oh, I think the one that is most interesting and was most newsworthy at the time was Kate Middleton and Meghan's...
Who made who cry?
Who made who cry?
Because we've heard, you know, from different sources, different versions of events, but we actually haven't heard it from Kate. And I just think that what really went on there...
But isn't that the point?
That
we would never hear it from Kate, because she doesn't do the briefing. And maybe, you know, between the sheets, sometimes we sort of go behind, you know, and we sort of try and find out what's happening. So, you know, if somebody wants something to be known, I'm assuming that when we see a story that, you know, it's friends of, it means that they wanted something to know. They're not going to pick up the phone to their favourite journo. They pick up the phone to their favourite mate, say, look, here's the deal, this is what you say, and then that person gives X person a call. Boom, there's an exclusive. Is that what happens?
Our sources are all very close to the people involved. I can't
divulge
too
there's an entire
much.
book out of that. Hello, Omid, how are you? Nothing to do with Harry and Meghan, obviously.
But certainly, you know, there was a bust-up that happened. But I do feel like it was unfair, like you say, for Meghan to go into so much detail when we know that Kate is never going to talk about it.
Yeah.
No.
And, you know, that's just one very small example of airing their dirty laundry on a national scale during a pandemic when, you know, everyone is suffering.
The problem with the whole Oprah Winfrey thing, it wasn't an interview, was it? There was no forensic questioning.
It was PR puff, wasn't it?
It was basically a well-padded woman trying to wriggle her way up the backsides of two privileged, woke idiots. And no one challenged anything until now.
And isn't that part of the point as well, that of course they thought they were putting their side, and I'm sure that they believe or they think their truth is whatever it is.
Yeah, when you start off an interview saying, well, this is my truth.
But when you're in a gilded cage, and when nobody is telling you...
With rescue chickens.
With rescue chickens, and when no one's telling you, you know, to wake up and smell the coffee. You can begin to believe your own stuff. Are they in this place? Are they so removed from reality that they've started to tell the stories of...
They are so removed from reality. I think as well...
They think they're very in touch, don't they?
Yes, they do, which is so ironic. But as well, I think that something that's quite interesting here is Oprah has a whole, you know, decades-long career of being a very good interviewer, and she's actually been criticised for interviewing Britney Spears back in 2002 because people said she was a bit harsh, you know, at the crux of her nervous breakdown. But so obviously you think, oh wow, Oprah's actually going to do a decent interview, but it wasn't. It wasn't. So it was almost like Oprah was a bit of a prop, and she didn't deliver like we thought she would.
You know, two reasons. Because Oprah, I think deep down, is a snob. And B, Britney is white and Meghan is black. And I think that was definitely something to do with the kid gloves that Oprah handled this interview with, I must admit. But this story has moved on.
Oh.
And it was a little bit teeny-weeny too late for the papers, even brilliant papers like The Sun and obviously The Star, which is where I write a column, by the way. I might have mentioned it. Yes, last night at the GQ Awards.
The GQ Men of the Year Awards.
Men of the Year.
I was wondering, I don't know how long we'll be able to call it the Men of the Year Awards.
No. People of the Year Awards.
Yeah.
I'll identify as whatever you want of the Year Awards. Any case, Piers was ironically in the audience as Man of the Year. Didn't win anything, did he?
No. But he's written for GQ. He's a long-time guest. You know, he's very in there at the magazine.
And Harry, you know, the shy, quiet, retiring, mind my privacy. Harry did a live broadcast from his home in California.
Suited and booted in a tux, of course.
And so it wasn't a pre-reg, it was live.
It was live.
It was live. I mean, bless him.
Who organised that? Decided to put him on last when everybody's absolutely trashed.
You'd need to be, wouldn't you? Oh my God, it's Harry. Give me a drink. Anyway, part of this speech was Harry sitting there with a completely straight face, saying, blasting basically. He was blasting. He was having a go at those who peddle lies. Oh God!
What did the people you were with make of it?
He was having a go at anti-vaxxers, which is great, but it was so solemn, and he just didn't get the irony. I think people were excited actually that he was there because it was quite. His big face was on a huge screen looming over us.
Hey, give me a drink.
Yeah, but like you pointed out, it was 11:30 at night, and most people were quite tipsy and not paying that much attention.
He doesn't do irony. He probably does the ironing because she asks him to when he's not playing with his balls in the garden, obviously. But I mean,
I don't think he's ever touched an iron in his life, has he? I mean, why? Maybe as an army.
He's certainly never touched any irony, has he? I mean, that's for sure.
No.
Oh dear, honestly, I just thought, well done, Piers. In any case, Team Piers here.
So are we all Team Piers then?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's no disagreement on this one, sadly.
I mean, I think it's fascinating that all the papers have gone for it. It's quite interesting also. If you have a look at The Guardian, dare I suggest?
Oh no one ever does that.
Well,
you haven't got your gloves on.
I know.
Where's your PPE?
I'm sorry. I know. I need my PPE. What's very funny about The Guardian's coverage of this?
Said nobody ever.
So there's this little article. So here we are, front page. Every newspaper. Ofcom says Morgan's attack on Duchess did not break code. Tiny tucked away article on page 17 of The Guardian. Come on, The Guardian.
And what stories?
Door off. This is old news.
What stories have they got before it?
Oh, they've got Foreign Office warned of takeover. They've got straight home now. Hikers to finish. Longest linear trek up and down the Cairngorms.
Oh, that's so important. We're talking about that this morning.
Oh, they've got Zoe Williams boring everybody about nothing.
The one story I wanted to talk about this morning was trekking up the Cairngorms.
Oh, gee.
Really.
They've got America banned, they've got Taliban stuff, they've got dog stories, they've got Iraq's Deputy Prime Minister urges fellow OPEC oil producers to switch to clean energy.
That one, no.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Over breakfast, non-stop.
They've got this. I mean, look, it's just like, and then we get to the proper meaty stuff, and they got the boring old thing. And it said, ITV said, the rules sets out clearly that it was balanced. But it's like, bore off, come on, The Guardian. No wonder nobody reads your rubbish. Crap! That's the problem, it's crap!
Everybody
do some editorial, do something interesting. It's the most interesting story of the day. There's fascinating stuff going on. And it's boring. You've got boring stuff. There's no stories in there. Oh, sorry, I need a little lie down.
James, you've just torn up the Bible of the BBC.
Oh,
How could you do that?
I know, I wouldn't dare do it with a beautiful son. No, we wouldn't do that. No. But I love the fact that, there are a whole range of stories. And, within the, the Sun, the Mail and everything else, all these... It is a great story because it's a good talking point, and it's one of those things that polarises people. It's quite interesting actually. Even if you hate Piers, But you love the fact that he does what he does. Most people seem, in this country, are looking at Harry and Meghan as two people who... I mean, in some ways, I kind of get that if you're in that and you realise that you're never going to be top dogs, you realise that you're always going to be playing second fiddle to your brother and sister-in-law and all that.
He knew that.
He knew that. Well, he's kind of born with it. And if he always knew that...
I think she's struggling with it.
I think she is, and I think she thought that she was the most important thing, and people should do exactly what she said.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine when that ruling came in? The actual scenes when Meghan got the news. Can you imagine the screams there would have been? Harry, what's happening? Get down here now. She would have been.
Oh, I'd love to be on the fly on the wall for that.
Wouldn't you have been a fly on the wall in that?
Have you got somebody over there who can tell us what happened?
Of course, it will be in the Sun on Sunday at the weekend, though.
Excellent. we can look forward to that.
Oh, I can't wait.
Right.
Honestly.
Okay. Well, look. Enough of talking about them. We probably need to move to something else other than Harry and Meghan and Piers.
But I mean, there's not a lot else in the papers. It has to be said today. However, there is always a politician or two making a complete boob of themselves. I can't say the other word. I said the other word last time and I got told off. So.
Good.
A lot of them are on holiday at the moment, I believe, aren't they?
Yes, yeah, holidays. Right. Well, but Dominic Raab, who was...
Well, he's been on a holiday.
Yeah, but he couldn't remember. He couldn't remember when it started or when it finished.
Why is it that politicians, when they're asked a really simple question, so he won't answer when he went on holiday, Gavin Williamson wouldn't tell us what terrible A-level results he got.
No.
And similarly, when Gavin Williamson, I dare say he'll be all over the papers for tomorrow, because he didn't answer any of the questions asked. And if you can't answer Charlie State's questions, you know, the most docile of interviewers, and you can't even answer his questions, then frankly, it's time to leave.
And it's like, when did you go on holiday? It's like, but you can remember the sea was closed. Remember, he infamously goes out. It wasn't really a holiday because the sea was closed.
I can think of quite a few words beginning with C that I'd like to call Dominic Raab and Gavin Williamson. But anyway, let's not go there. No.
But the other holiday story at the moment is, of course, Matt Hancock, who's taking his bit on the side up the Eiger. They're on holiday in the Alps.
I mean, it's a story of true love. Everything was against them, wasn't it? You know.
I mean, frankly, if you're still in love and he's taking you to a 2-star hotel because he can't afford to do any better, I mean, it's not very showbiz, is it?
No, not very showbiz at all.
And have you seen what he's wearing again?
Oh,
it's
dear.
The baseball cap and those hideous stuff.
I mean, he's having a sort of proper mid-late life crisis, isn't he?
It really is like a typical politician midlife crisis. I'm looking forward to what he's going to do next. He'll be on Strictly, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah, but which is worse?
No, come on, don't. No.
Oh, no, please.
No, I think Naked Attraction. Oh, definitely. Because we've all seen that video, haven't we, in the room where he's all a bit...
Oh, the
grabbing. But which is the worst midlife crisis? Is it him and him going off up the Eiger and all that? Or is it Michael Gove and his weird dancing thing?
Oh,
I mean, that was awkward. I mean, that made all the papers.
Well,
I mean, why would you do that? I mean, over a certain age, you shouldn't be in a nightclub.
Oh, James, how very dare you?
I dare.
Age is actually no barrier to doing whatever you want at all. No,
yes,
absolutely, go for it. No, go for it. If you want to go clubbing, no matter what age you are. I've taken my mum clubbing in Ibiza. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. But it was.
I've heard that Gove thought he was at a disco, which is slightly less, you know.
A disco? I said a disco.
It was really heavy urban type, grime type stuff, wasn't it? It was dancing to
quite niche music.
In a suit.
Niche music.
It's the suit that got me. I mean,
yes, why would you do that? I mean, I know I'm wearing a jacket, but really.
But you're working.
I am working. Talking of music, somebody else who's working. What do you make of this story? It's in today's Mirror, but it's in all the papers today. So the BBC has been criticised for hiring Girls Aloud star Cheryl to host an R&B podcast instead of a black artist. Does it mean that if you're not black, you cannot have a view on R&B?
No, but Cheryl, formerly known as Cheryl Cole, formerly known as Cheryl Treaty,
She's
formerly
had
known
more
as
names in the phone
Cheryl
book.
Fernandez Vicini, isn't known as an R&B artist. She might have a bit of R&B in her record collection. So,
but yes, why can't she talk about the music that she likes?
Because I suppose people are finding it frustrating that at a time when the BBC is all about optics, they haven't chosen and not only an artist who isn't known for R&B, but an artist who's not black. So they could have gone for Jamelia, they could have gone for Alexandra Burke, Beverly Knight, who have actually, you know, survived in the industry.
Yes,
and
but
put out
then
music.
you're just saying that there are certain topics that certain people can discuss and nobody else can have a view.
I'm sorry, I think it's racist.
I
think the fact that people are having a go at Cheryl, whatever
I think it is racist. I think it's racist on her, on the basis. I mean, I don't know. She's talking about the things that influenced her. She's talking about, well, when I was growing up, I listened to this and I liked that and I liked the other and I was influenced by these artists.
What's wrong with
I think that that's perfectly acceptable. The mistake, in my view, is that the BBC should have done a proper R&B podcast with the very best R&B producers and presenters and everything else, and let her do this kind of celebrity thing.
What they should have done
My
is
influences
renamed
of music.
it. Exactly, yeah. Cheryl, My CD Collection.
But that's pretty much what it is, isn't it, Hannah? It is her talking about her influences in music and why she likes certain kinds of music. So you don't have to be black or white to like a certain kind of music. Does that mean no black person can talk about, I don't know, country music or folk music, which are traditionally white? And if we analyse it, she says being very serious and married to a musician, then most music has its origins in black music.
It does.
It does. No,
So-
you're right. But I think it's because the title has R&B in the title.
But
and
there's nothing wrong with that.
But it's pitched as an R&B.
It's rhythm and blues, not rhythm and black.
No, but
Yes, but if I like that sort of music, I could do a show on
Do you,
it.
James? Do you like R&B?
I mean, it's
getting
not my
down-
favourite genre.
Right,
I mean,
no.
I quite like pop. I quite like dance. I quite like mashed mixes. I like
Mashed
chill.
mixes?
Yes, mashed mixes.
Is that
I like
potato?
chill. But I also like classical and I like jazz. I like lots of different genres of music. And I think that if she is a person who has been at the top of the pop industry, if she can say these were my influences, absolutely she can do it. And I do think it's racist to say, oh, you've got to be black to talk about it. What a lot of poppycock. People who are trying to convince us that we should apologise for the colour of our skin, that we should apologise for every kind of privilege that we may have here in the UK because it's been built on the slavery of others and all this sort of stuff. I'm just not buying it, and I think it's a really easy one to peddle because as soon as you mention the race word, then suddenly you can no longer have a sensible conversation because you are either one side of the divide or the other.
I think it's just as well because it's a BBC podcast. And
The BBC cannot be all this, like, if you have a look at what they're doing and who they're putting in and all this stuff that they're making choices, instead of saying who is the best person for the job.
What do you mean? What do you mean putting stuff, making
So
choices?
I think they're making choices of people who present on the basis of the colour of their skin as opposed to who's the best person to present a show. Now, do
So
I
then
want to
is it
see
not
diversity? Yes, I do. But stop sticking people who can't do the job into jobs. Do the formal training. Get people to apply for jobs. Deal with the right back. We've got to go right back into schools, into education. It might take a little longer, but stop ticking boxes. It's horrible.
So therefore this is inconsistent with that, which is another reason why fans are probably backlashing.
People are backlashing because, look, on a few occasions I'll stand up for the BBC, and on this one, they're right. Mostly, they're wrong, and they've made some terrible decisions, and they waste our money.
Should we just be honest? Cheryl, whatever her name is this week, actually got the job because it's going to get people talking about it, and it's going to get the numbers.
Yes, and
It's the
sometimes
bottom
you've got
line.
to get the numbers.
And she does need to do something because her last single bombed.
Well, I'm
Sorry,
not surprised
Cheryl.
it
Yeah.
bombed, but I mean, it made all of our ears bleed, and it was rubbish.
Meanwhile, the main reason to hate Cheryl is because she called her kid Bear.
But was that her or was that her boyfriend
Liam
at the
Payne.
time?
Apparently, it's quite sweet. Apparently, because when the baby was born, it growled like a bear. I'm quite a fan
Babies
of.
make lots of noises when they're born. You're not necessarily going to call them after that, are
I'm
you?
quite a fan of an animal name, like
No,
a fox.
what?
You know, fox for a boy.
Oh, good. You're going to have Fox if you have a kid.
Yeah.
You're going to call it
Really?
Fox.
It's like, no, you can't do that.
Yes, you can. Cheryl's done it.
Ma-
When did that show called her daughter
Cheryl's
Apple?
done it. Don't do it.
Most babies come out looking vaguely slug-like, don't they? So Slug's a good name for a
not
baby.
Slug,
I think that's cute. What's wrong with Slug?
I'm not having a baby, by the way. Just putting it out there.
Now or
Actually,
ever.
no.
Hannah's boyfriend, we have got something to tell you. I know you don't want to hear it this way, but
It's
it's going to be called Slug Fox or Fox Slug.
It's a nonsense. Where would you like to go next?
Oh gosh, where can we go from there?
Well, I wanted to get serious and talk about the NHS. Can I talk
Go
about it?
on,
Go on, let
talk
me talk
about
about the
it.
NHS.
Go on, bore everybody, as
It's not
usual.
boring. We all depend on the NHS, right?
We do.
Okay. So this week we learned that the NHS are hiring again. Yay. They're not filling the how many 35,000 vacancies we have for nurses in this country. They are filling. It's quite linked, actually. They have 4 jobs going for heads of equality, diversion and inclusion at 75 grand a year. The average nurse, by the way, is on 24
But this is off the back
grand
of
a
the story.
year.
So in today's Telegraph, they
Yep.
say that they need 10 billion in order to pick up the 7 years back.
Hello? You could stop paying people like that for doing non-jobs.
But why can we not have a conversation in this country about, okay, what do you really need? And what can we cut out, and how can we spend the money better? But you can't. The NHS has become so toxic politically that you can no longer have a conversation. Yes,
and I said cult.
And as soon as you say, "Can we be more efficient?" then people at the top of the NHS go, "Yes, of course we can. Yes, but we're ruthlessly efficient." And then as soon as you pick up something, and then the general populace, the court of public opinion that knows so very much about everything, will start saying, "You can't touch our NHS. You're trying to privatise it through that back door." Rah, rah, rah. And instead of saying, what you're doing is you are spending our money, and we would like you to do a better job of spending our money. And by the way, if you can put forward a good case for whatever you want to spend, then fantastic. I will happily pay more tax if you can convince me that you need more money. But until or unless you get rid of all this nonsense.
Do you know the highest paid manager in the NHS, who basically has made a complete pig's ear of managing the NHS, is on £475,000
But they won't be the only one.
No. There's, I think it's about 20 of them that earn more than the Prime Minister. Actually, that's not a fair comparison, but you know what I mean? I mean, they earn loads of money. Meanwhile, a junior doctor earns £34,000 a year. Priorities.
But it's also priorities when it comes to working out, well, do we need to have so many layers of management, or do we need to... I would like to see nurses and doctors paid more. They're the people who have the very tough job.
Way too much bureaucracy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd like to see them paid more. And I'd like to see GP surgeries open, manned by the nurses and the doctors that we are not paying enough to.
Yeah, I'd like to... But, I mean, but I'd also like to use technology.
Half the people in this country can't get to see a GP.
But also, I do think that online for some appointments is a good idea. For example, if you've got a cold or got flu and you kind of have those symptoms, don't go to the doctor's surgery.
Or if you want to renew a prescription, I get that. But if you've got a mole or a cough or you're bleeding from somewhere, that you're worried
need to see
about
someone.
You need to see someone. There was a horrific story this week about a poor chap who was misdiagnosed on the phone 3 times, finally went to hospital, was told he had stage 4 cancer, and approximately a year. People are dying, and you're worried about equality, diversity and inclusion. And now we are going to... The backlog, the waiting list is going to hit 13 million. Sorry.
Why aren't they opening up surgeries though? Because
no one will say, Hannah. No one will say.
Because I appreciate that we have COVID, but everyone else is going back to work.
Yeah.
So I don't see how doctors working from home
because we've frightened the population so effectively that instead of saying our strategy is now to learn to live with this thing, because, for example, can you not see the examples in Australia and New Zealand? The zero COVID strategy will not work, should not work, is nonsensical, and in fact has been driven by the fact that they've had a very ineffective vaccination programme. And if you're going to pursue that, but we've had a very effective vaccination programme, and in fact our pressure should be on how on earth are we going to get this booster vaccination to as many people as possible as opposed to just vulnerable, so that we can make sure that the opening up that we've done, where the link between hospitalisations and deaths and COVID cases had gone, stop looking at the COVID cases, and BBC, can you report it properly, please? Start to identify, are people dying with COVID or from COVID? If it's from COVID, how many of you haven't been vaccinated? Let's get proper data. We don't have proper data.
And let's have a go at the mainstream media, right, which includes all of us, okay? The reported, oh my God, the death toll's gone up, there were 30 cases, It's because there was a bank holiday, and we all know what happens. It's the backlog reporting, and that made headlines.
And it's astonishing.
We're still scaremongering.
Our understanding of data and how to interpret it is shocking in this country.
Yeah. And you know what? The only row I've ever had live on tea with Piers, was over the scaremongering at the very start of this, on GMP with him. And he was honestly, literally hiding in the corner about bodies piling up in the streets. And I said, oh, Piers, man up. I know you can't say that. I'm sorry, you can't say that. Mental health, da, 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 da. And he goes, no, we're all going to die. We're all going to be piling up in the streets. It's like, Piers, we're not. And still, 18 months on, we have still got people who are scaremongering and terrifying people. Stop.
Rod Liddle, gradually the Americans are realising that they have elected a weak and self-serving idiot to be their president. I love that line.
They're not the sharpest tools in the box, are they?
I love that line.
Let's be fair.
Is it fair to say that Joe Biden is an idiot?
No, it's not fair to call him an idiot. I just think he probably...
Imbecile?
I think he's a bit tired.
No one's that tired. I've seen zombies more awake.
Is he so tired that he just shouldn't? I mean, I find it absolutely astonishing that he made the announcements that he's made. He hasn't wanted to answer any questions. He's taken the wrong decisions. And even though our government has been utterly shambolic, his decisions have been worse. And he's thrown trillions of dollars away. He's thrown away 20 years of hard work. He's almost insulted the dead. From both his forces and ours. This is one of the worst foreign policy set of decisions that he's ever taken, or has been ever taken, by the US.
Look, come on, it was successful. It was incredibly successful. The fact it was the deadliest day for the US military since 2011, and they left £85 billion worth of equipment. It's, you know, it can happen. It can happen. I mean, you know.
Really?
At least, yeah. No, okay, no.
You can't convince me.
He looks like, did you see him? He looked like he'd been embalmed as well in that
This is what I mean. I do think he's tired. I genuinely just think...
Do you think, is it ageist to say that somebody shouldn't be over a certain age in order to do a job?
No, it's not ageist, no, because I mean, you can be sharp as a tack. Hi, Mum. And in your 80s and 90s.
He's not sharp as a tack.
He's not even sharp as a piece of plasticine, really, is he?
Meanwhile, from the sublime to the ridiculous.
You've got a really good
you've got a showbiz exclusive about the alpaca.
So, the alpaca may be dead, but the story is potentially... The
story lives on.
Going to live on.
Dawn killed her.
What?
Him.
I did not kill the animal. I love animals. I haven't even eaten them for 35 years.
You wanted that alpaca dead.
No, I did not. I wanted...
You never defended that alpaca.
Hold on, by the way, did we know that... Hold on, there are 205 camels, llamas and alpacas in this country who were culled, not murdered, they were culled, by the way, in 2020. Why is it this one that is causing all the fuss?
Well, I can reveal that the movie makers are planning to make a film about this story.
Is Dawn in it?
Well, she may
Dawn,
have
you
a
can play
role.
yourself.
I'm coming in on my broomstick.
I've heard that they'd love Olivia Colman to play Helen MacDonald.
No, they should have Miranda Hart.
Miranda Hart.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely? Or she could play the alpaca.
And there apparently has been a surge in people searching for alpaca jumpers online, which
Really?
go for about 200 to 400
They're quite
pounds.
expensive,
Yeah.
and let's face
Really?
it, that's what Geronimo was brought in here to do, wasn't he? He was brought in to be an alpaca daddy. He was a stud animal to make lots of little woolly jumpers. And I have, that seamlessly links into my, and finally,
yes,
because we're in September now, I know, who knew what happened to summer, long hot summer, apart from the long and hot bit. September is the top month for starting an affair.
Oh,
James. Yeah, Love Cheat's ready for the busiest month. Evidently, you know, after the summer holidays, we're all sick and tired of being with our other halves. Looking forward to getting back to the office. Please let us all get back to the office. And that's when we start looking around and going, oh, hello, young man. Along those lines. Okay, so September, brace yourself.
So you can say hello, young man, and I can't say hello, old lady. Meanwhile...
How very dare he?
I dare. Meanwhile... Your paper, the Daily Star, what the heck is this? Struggling to litter train your kitty. Here's the perfect solution to help your cat love the litter bed box. Every month, hundreds of people in the UK search for advice on how to train their cat to use it. An online class has been created to help resolve the common litter box problems. What? This is in your paper.
It's a very important story about training your pussy. Everyone knows a well-trained pussy.
She loves a cat or pussy story, don't you?
The beavers are quite fun too.
You've been horrified by this, haven't you? You've been horrified. You've been tarnished and tarred by this whole experience.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure what I was signing up for, but yeah.
And that's why you agreed to do it. And on that bombshell, Hannah Hope, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Alongside Dawn Neesom, I'm James Max. Thanks for watching. Until the next time, cheerio.